welcome again to the chat. It's your co-host, Ben Carbonaro, here on my own again from the palatial surrounds of Melbourne. But I am looking forward to getting up to the Gold Coast in January for the Magic Millions race day and, of course, the horse sales as well. And joining me today to discuss the racing side of things and also announce the exciting news about the packages going on sale for dining at the Gold Coast Turf Club is the Chief Executive of the Gold Coast Turf Club, in Steve Lyons. G'day, Steve. How are you?
G'day, Ben, and welcome back to the real world, mate.
Absolutely, mate. I must say, great news today that we can actually fly up to Queensland as of December 1.
Yeah, look, our heartfelt thoughts for you guys down south. It's been a tough time, and believe me, you know, the Queenslanders are right behind you. We've been able to avoid some of those challenges, and we've felt for you team down there, and certainly the New South Wales guys as well. So glad to have things opening up, and really looking forward to catching up with everyone from down south.
And we saw the announcement and the release of the dining packages and tickets for January's Magic Millions Carnival. Must have been great to finally get that out of the way, Steve, because there was a bit of uncertainty leading up to it, wasn't there?
Oh, look, you know, we just tried to hold off as long as we possibly could to try and get some of these regulations understood a bit better. There are still some regs. Unfortunately, some people are going to miss out on what they've previously been able to get as an outcome. There is some, you know, some COVID challenges there for us still, and we need to comply with that. But we've been able to release our packages, or the mainstream packages. Needless to say, the restaurants are pretty much sold out already. The event centre is selling out quickly, so I recommend anyone that wants to book to get moving quickly. And this year we do have access to the Dome as well, which is selling really well. So you know, our plans are out there, ready to go. We've released to members first, which is what we always do, and that's the benefit of being a member of the Gold Coast Turf Club. And everyone else will be released over the next few days and ready to go.
You mentioned the Dome, Steve. Usually that's the Magic Millions VIP marquee. That's awesome that for January you've got that as an extra space, and you can have more people dining and enjoying the day.
Yeah, look, you know, Millions usually adopt that area as part of their relationship with us, and they've just foreseen the challenges this year, bringing international talent and all those challenges across for them. So that's been freed up. We've done a deal with them to, you know, work that out in our arrangement, and this year we've been able to secure that particular area for this year only.
And for anyone who hasn't been to the Magic Millions race day or the Wave, which has become a pretty big thing the Saturday before as well, what can one expect? Is there something for everyone?
Yeah, Ben, look, you know, the Wave was an initiative that we put together a couple of years ago, and last year was massively successful. The turnover on the day was huge. The punters got right behind it. You know, it's in week 2 this year, which was last year was in week 1 of January, so it pushes back a week, and so likewise there's Millions. You know, very strongly supported. It's what we call Aquis Race Day. They are, as our major naming rights partner, that's been their day. There is a couple of Magic Million qualifiers on that day, and you know, the feedback from the punters and our attendees last year was hugely positive, and it's booking up as well as quickly as Millions. So, you know, it's sort of a carnival now, week to week, and we're really looking forward to having some good weather and everyone here.
And you talk about COVID regulations. Obviously, they're probably a bit more relaxed compared to what we've got down here in Melbourne, Steve. How have they impacted the club, and what sort of policies will be in place in terms of crowd numbers and stuff come January?
Yeah, look, January, we're anticipating around 14 to 16. We would normally do 24. We haven't gone infield this year. You know, so that's about 30% variance to what we would normally do. You know, we've got to maintain the 2 metre rule as best we possibly can. I mean, a lot of people move around on race days, as you probably understand, and there are some regulations and restrictions we're bound by, and we'll do our damnedest to make sure we comply. You know, the challenges that we've had over the last 6 months of, you know, from non-participant, so no attendees to, you know, part attendees to improving all the time. It's certainly getting better, but you know, as I say, we've had it a lot better than some of the other states, so I'm not here to make any complaints about it. I think we've been more fortunate than certainly the Melbourne people and Victorians, and certainly in the New South Wales. So no complaints this end. We've all been challenged worldwide with this pandemic, and you know, overseas it continues to be a massive challenge. So I'm glad we're not in that space.
And how did your crowds go over Spring Carnival? Because I know usually Derby Day and Melbourne Cup Day for you guys is usually pretty big days away from obviously your biggest day being Magic Millions Day.
Yeah, look, they were solid. We were probably about 15 to 20% off. Melbourne Cup Day actually was pretty exceptional from a GA perspective. We got probably a better turnout from GA, and our corporates are always strong here, Ben. So those 2 days were good. So from a line ball of previous years, we reckon we're pretty much close to it. Financially probably a little bit off, but you could expect that. But as I say, once again, very positive that we're able to achieve racing on those days with participants and a crowd here. And that was certainly successful for us in both instances.
And you talk about crowds. It's one thing I know that your chairman, Brett Cook, is very passionate about, and I know Brett reasonably well. That's how I met you. About night racing, that could bring in even bigger crowds. And there's been talk about that coming to the Gold Coast in coming years. How far down the line are you with that and obviously other related projects? Because it's been in the pipeline for a while now, hasn't it?
Yeah, Ben, 10 years. So a long time. We just prior to the election finally got commitment of Treasury to do our full infrastructure upgrades. Brett has been the bastion of pushing that as my chairman for a long time now, and we think we've got him the result that he's been after on behalf of the club for a long time. Our driver has been to look after our training facilities first. So, the synthetic track will go in, all-weather surface to train and race on, and then the upgrades to the bee grass and course proper tunnel, and then lights. So lights is probably about 2 years off, maybe a little bit more. But we really want the training facilities and our trainers, our training fraternity, and the jockeys supported out there where all the safety challenges that we have can be improved upon.
Just on your training facilities, you've obviously got quite a few there. The Edmonds are probably one of the more high-profile trainers that train out of the Gold Coast. Has there been any interest from other trainers that say, I'd like to move to the Gold Coast with those new facilities? And have they said to you, what can you offer us?
Look, Ben, we've got people queuing up waiting for the infrastructure upgrades. We've got a lot of interstate interest. Yeah, Toby's obviously been a local champion for us, and we've got Chris Waller and the crew here in a satellite state, but a whole host of others. And, we've been interest from certainly Brisbane and definitely New South Wales and Victoria around once we get these facilities up and running. 530 horses in work here every morning. We'll extend that out to about 700. We've got our own training area in Train Tech that will be upgraded aligned to the track upgrades. And we'll be able to fit an extra 130 horses stabled in our own stables here as well. So, for the future of this particular club and growing up and to be that, metropolitan quality in many aspects, we're well and truly on our way.
That synthetic track too, that sounds pretty exciting as well. That'd be great for council meetings and stuff. And people will want to say, we can go and race at the Gold Coast if a meeting does get called off somewhere within Queensland.
Yeah, that's right. And, one of the interesting things is about 13 racetracks in a 2.5 hour radius from the Gold Coast that can get washed out quite easily with some bad weather. We'll be able to race all weather. Now, we usually lose about 3 to 4 meetings a year in toto, so there's 4 meetings that we won't lose, let alone those other clubs that sit around us and being able to race horses here.
And just back on the carnival thing, how good has it been, the addition of the Wave Race Day, having the 2 race days, but also it's almost like a 2-week carnival of events. It used to just be 1 week of events, but now it's 2. Sometimes even to a lesser extent, there's a couple of unofficial ones. It almost stretches into a 3rd week, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's pretty hectic time. And this year, Ben, I think everyone's looking for a bit of social opportunity. So you're thinking it'll go better than ever. There's plenty of functions, plenty of events. We have obviously our own Calcutta on the Thursday night, which has turned out to be a significant, event on the calendar. Lots of people are going to be around. It'll be a very busy place, and we look forward to hosting as many as we possibly can.
And what's your background in racing? And also, what were you doing before you started with the Turf Club? I believe you were working in hospitality. Is that right? Or hotels?
Yeah, Ben, I originally with the breweries, Lion, or initially Carlton and then Lion, 15 years with Lion. Ended up as the state sales director. I run a whole heap of pubs for a couple of businesses, So hospitality's been my mainstream. I did run a few breweries over the years. So I lived in that space pretty much forever. I ran a labour hire company for 4 or 5 years there as well, but mainly focused around hospitality. Prior to this job, I ran a consortium of 9 hotels for a group, and then had the opportunity to come across to the Gold Coast Turf Club. And fortunately, things have worked out really well, and the club's performing its socks off, and we're in a good place.
In terms of horse ownership and stuff like that, have you got any small shares in anything at the moment, like the chairman, Brett Cook, does? No doubt others involved with the club do?
Yeah, not as many as him. Ben, my wife and I have lived all over Australia in our travels, setting up businesses for Lion, and we always bought a share in a horse somewhere, and that's how we got to know people. So from Darwin to Cairns, Townsville, Mackay, Rockhampton, Sydney, Melbourne, we've always owned a share in a horse somewhere. And we're not by any stretch of the imagination the best horse owners of the world or owners of the best horses in the world, but I think I've raced 12 and 11 of them have won a race somewhere. So pretty successful.
Awesome, but I'm sure the good stories would always come out from your board member in Luke Henderson. He owned Fiorente, for example. That's an amazing story.
Yeah, there's Sebring and a couple of other really good horses.
Yeah.
Sweet Idea, I think, was another one there. Luke hasn't missed over his time, so he's done extremely well. In my time, sponsor of Forex and TUI is a major sponsor of racing across Australia, and that's where I've had a lot of exposure to the industry as well. So.
All right, Steve, thanks very much for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you when I'm up there in January.
Yeah, look, Ben, stay in touch, and great to have you guys on board. I'm really happy for everyone down south, and I'm glad that we'll be able to catch up shortly. Cheers, mate.